Early evidence suggests that Omicron is causing a new trend of milder symptoms affecting the upper respiratory system, nose, mouth, and throat, in many patients. That could explain why it appears to represent a lower risk of hospitalization or serious disease in individuals than previous strains of the virus, which frequently infected the lungs. What is becoming evident is that Omicron appears to have a lower impact on the lungs than previous variations, said Dr. Ronald Whelan, chairman of the COVID-19 task team at Discovery Health. Last month, Whelan's employer, South Africa's leading health insurer, issued an early assessment on the Omicron wave in the country. A scratchy throat, congestion, a dry cough, and lower back pain were among the most common early Omicron symptoms, according to their research. The incubation period, or the time between infection and onset of symptoms, was as little as 3 days. This is several days faster than the virus's prior strains. Whelan's remarks about Omicron patients were mirrored by Dr. Angelique Coetzee, chair of the South African Medical Association. The handful who advanced to pneumonia merely had shortness of breath, a feverish feeling, and a minor cough around day 10 to 12, Coetzee added. The majority of mild Omicron cases in South Africa during the wave had presented with a headache, chest pain or backache, a slight scratchy throat or dry cough, and weariness, according to Coetzee. The National Institute for Communicable Diseases of South Africa issued a warning to residents late last month to be on the lookout for those kinds of upper respiratory symptoms, noting that one distinct symptom seen in earlier COVID variants, loss of taste and smell, seems to be uncommon with Omicron. Similar patterns have been discovered in outbreaks outside of South Africa. The top 5 symptoms, according to one analysis of data collated from reports of positive cases in London, where Omicron instances spiked last month, were runny nose, headache, weariness, sneezing, and sore throat. Cough and runny nose were present in more than 3/4 of the 81 people infected during a Christmas party in Norway, despite the fact that they were predominantly vaccinated. Only 12% reported a change in scent, while 23% reported a change in taste. A recent paper published by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention indicated that none of the 5 reinfected people in a Nebraska household had reported loss of taste or smell, compared to 4 after their first bout of COVID-19 in 2020. 2 of them had a fever as a result of their reinfection. Cough, joint discomfort, congestion, fever, and chills were reported by another unvaccinated person who had not previously been diagnosed with COVID-19. Both outbreaks had an incubation period of 3 days, which was lower than the Delta variant's 4 to 5 days. Despite evidence that Omicron reduces the risk of serious illness in individuals, it is so contagious that hospitals are struggling to keep up with the expanding caseload. Due to the large number of people who may contract the fast-spreading strain, a group of disease forecasters warned on Tuesday that the United States is on course to surpass the Delta variant's worst days of hospitalizations and deaths. Scientists warn that Omicron's rapid rise could be caused in part by more people spreading the virus without displaying any symptoms. According to one unpublished survey of South African healthcare professionals, the rate of patients carrying the disease without symptoms increased from 2.6% during the Beta and Delta variant epidemics to 16% with Omicron. These findings strongly suggest that Omicron has a significantly greater rate of asymptomatic carriage than other variants of concern, the study's authors said. This high prevalence of asymptomatic infection is likely a major role in the variant's extensive, rapid spreading internationally. While the frequency of some symptoms may have changed as a result of Omicron, doctors claim there is no indication of significantly different or new symptoms not reported in previous COVID-19 instances. Instead, scientists will have to figure out how Omicron changed the probability of certain symptoms against others. Loss of smell or taste, for example, became a telltale indication of COVID-19 early in the epidemic and was dubbed anosmia and agusia by clinicians. However, estimates of how many instances result in the symptom have varied greatly throughout the epidemic and throughout different parts of the globe. According to one study published in November, as many as 1.6 million Americans were suffering from long-term chronic olfactory impairment as a result of their infection. Another symptom mentioned by a doctor during a media briefing in South Africa early in the Omicron outbreak was night sweats, which tabloids hailed as a telltale indicator that only happens at night that could signal you've been attacked by the Omicron variety. However, this symptom is not new. In a February 2020 report from Wuhan, China, 9 out of 10 patients listed it as a symptom. According to a post from the Zoe COVID study, which has tracked trends in previous variants as well, an analysis of cases in London last month found no clear difference in the symptom profile of Delta and Omicron. with only 50% of people experiencing the classic 3 symptoms of fever, cough, or loss of sense of smell or taste. In the next weeks, more information on the subject is expected. Since June, over 30% of persons with positive infections have reported a loss of taste or smell, and around 40% have reported cough or weariness, according to monthly government surveys in the United Kingdom. A new wave of surveyed data for December will be available later this month when the Omicron variety began to drive a record increase in cases in that month. New information could also come from current research into Omicron's effects on animals and tissue samples challenged with the virus in labs, which can account for variables such as immunity and underlying circumstances that could skew findings on the variant's effects in humans. NIH-funded research in mice and hamsters is currently underway, confirming the animal model's lower pathogenicity. And research in the non-human primate model is proceeding at the National Institutes of Health's Vaccine Research Center last week, the president's chief medical advisor, Dr. Anthony Fauci, told reporters. Fauci cited certain preprints, which have not yet been peer-reviewed, that looked at the virus in mice and hamsters and discovered hints that Omicron may spread more slowly in the lungs than Delta. According to similar findings from Hong Kong researchers, Omicron can spread faster in tissue from the bronchus, the tube that leads to the lungs, but slower in the lungs. According to Brian Willett of the University of Glasgow, apparently minor changes in viral biology may have large real-world implications on the type of the disease that follows from infection. Willett recently published a study on how Omicron infects the body's cells that has not yet been peer-reviewed. Delta was fine-tuned for infecting cells by fusion, a technique in which the virus can fuse with the cell membrane, according to Willett. Omicron appears to prefer endocytosis, which allows the virus to enter the cell and infect it. Each pathway necessitates a particular set of chemicals, which appear in varying levels depending on the cell. Omicron will preferentially grow in the upper respiratory tract if the cells there promote infection by endocytosis. Delta, on the other hand, may spread further into the lungs since it is better able to infect the cells in this environment, Willett stated. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy our content, please like, share, and subscribe.